Hello all, this is Rajesh. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Defreeze Coding. This is my third video. This is the extension of my previous video. That's my second video. Let's do a recap. So in the last video, we discussed about the uh, business case saying, okay, we have a source system that actually holds the employee data, and the business case is to move the employee data from the source system to the destination system, and then we're gonna consider the data will be in a CSV format. In the last video, we were able to complete the file manager class, and with the parse and file and get data method. In this method, we were able to uh, connect to the file, grab the data, and then display that on the console screen. It worked pretty good. In this video, we're gonna continue with that. Before we start, we're gonna learn about the debugging. Visual Studio Code provides an ability to debug, debug the code. That's really important. As a developer, right? You should have the ability to debug the code so that you should be able to identify the problem quickly, resolve it, and then move on. Uh, let's take a look at the Visual Studio Code. If you go to Visual Studio and then there is an icon here, right? Run and debug, launch it, and then it will bring up the screen. Once you have in the screen, go to click on this launch.json file, and then it's going to show select a debugger. We're going to select C# as the debugger, and then it's going to bring up this screen. It did create a launch.json file. That's good. The next piece is to add a configuration. Configuration provides what kind of a project we're going to debug. Click on configuration file. We're going to say, hey, launch C# project. It's a C# project. So click that. It's going to populate these 4 lines. So it's going to say, hey, which project are you going to uh, which one it's going to we're going to do it. So this one, right, we're going to debug our DataMover.Batch. That's our entry project. So put the name. So it's a DataMover.Batch or debug. If you don't want debug, you can get rid of it. The type will be .NET. The request is going to launch the project. The next, the project path. Here, right, we're going to provide a relative path. So the relative path is, right, we are the relative path is going to be your root folder. This is going to be the root folder is going to be the folder that you selected. That's going to be for me, right? It's going to be DataMover. It's going to be the root folder. So my relative path is going to be this / DataMover.Batch and then DataMover.Batch.cs project. That's going to be the entry point of this project, entry point of this application. So make sure you always use the entry point project. That is the project that has a main function as the entry point. If you go back to the solution, this is the Explorer. Go to program.cs. You see this main. So this is the project that's the entry point of your application. Make sure you put the path of it. So this is going to be the root folder / and then DataMover.Batch and then DataMover.Batch.cs project. I think this should do. Let's go ahead and test it out. So I'm gonna, okay, before that, right, we can go here and go to, yeah, here, right? So there is a options to create a breakpoint. First, right, let's discuss toggle breakpoint F9. If you press F9, it's going to create a red dot, which means, okay, when you debug the program, the debugger is going to stop at this line, wait for you to proceed. So F9 is to place a breakpoint. You can have a multiple breakpoints, but let's check. I can create 2 breakpoints here, and then the next step is there should be to start debugging. You can press F5, and then yeah. Once I get to this, there are commands like F10 to do a step-by-step debugging, and then step into it, step out. Those are the things I'll discuss. I'm not able to find those things here. Let's Go back, it says start debugging, press F5. Let's go ahead and press F5. Let's see what happens. Nothing happened. So I'm going to try one more time. So let's do a, oh, there it is. Uh, there it is. It did hit the breakpoint here. So you can see, right, this is the menu I was looking for. So F5 is continue, and then F10 is to step over. If you want to step into a method, F11. If you want to step out, Shift plus F11. We're going to use the F10 and F11 frequently, and then Shift F11 if needed. I'm going to show you that. So we are in the first statement. If I press F10, it's going to move to the next line. And then if you press F10 one more time, it moves to the third line. If you want to see, okay, what data is being stored in a variable, you can hover over the variable name. It's going to tell you what the actual value. In this case, right, this file name has the path of the employee data file. It shows one, and then keep pressing F10. So there are two options. Either we can get into it, get into this method, or we can step out of this method. I'm gonna step into this method. I'm gonna press F11. So and then it will take you to the inside the method, and I keep pressing F10 to navigate to the next step. Right now, right, I am into this while loop. It's going to keep looping until the condition fails. In the statement, I'm going to read the first line. Let's look look at the variable line. It holds the value, right? Employee first name, employee last name. Those are the headers of the CSV file, and then it will display the text on the screen. Yeah, the loop will still iterate, and then the next will be, yeah, this is the actual data. This is the second line of the data. I think we should see 4 line of data. This is the third one. I think we just had 3 lines, I believe. So yeah, 3 lines of data and then one header it got displayed. So this is really important. Okay, you always make sure, okay, you set breakpoints, step into the code lines, and then identify any issues and fix it right away. Okay, so we went through this one. We are able to debug this program. That's pretty good. The next one is a class library. Right now, let's go back to the Explorer, right? This one, DataMover. If you remember it, in the last video, we created this DataMover.Batch project. See this one, DataMover.Batch. This is a console application, right? Console application uh, is a entry entry point of your application. That's where your compiler starts and then executes the steps sequentially. The next piece is like a class library. Class library. What is class library? So class library is right a type of similar to a uh, console library. It's a type of a library. It's a type of a template, but it provides the ability. Uh, it provides an ability to combine collection of classes and namespace so that those classes can be reused in multiple projects. So if you want to create a piece of code that needs to be reused, then class library is the best bet. The class library usually doesn't have a main method, so usually it should be, if you want to use a class library, then uh, you should include it in another project that has a main method. But the class library also provides a way to uh, organize your classes so that it is much more readable. You can go through this article. It provides a lot of details about class libraries. So let's go ahead and create our own class library. So let's go to terminal. Let's do a clear. Yeah, when you debug, the other thing is, right, the debug console will be launched and it will give you all the debugging information. If you need to look at any of these things, you can use the debug console and then read through it. Yeah, we're gonna Go back. So right now we are in DataMover.batch. We don't want to create that level. We want to go to this one step back, the root folder, DataMover. In this video, we're going to create three class libraries: uh, service, data, and model. So each class library will have its specific actions. Like for example, the data library will talk to the database, just the database, nothing else, and the service library will connect to the data library for making any database transactions. The model, right? We will go over the model in detail, but model represents your data structure. Let's go ahead and start with creating those three projects. I'm going to start with the data class library. So I'm going to use the driver word .Net, and then it's a new. The next will be template. We used console last time. We're going to use a class library. That's classlib to represent class library. And then I'm going to provide a name. If I end, that's the name. I'm going to make it as DataMover.Data, and then language C#. Okay, see it. The DataMover.Data project got created. It should have a class file and XCS project. That's good. We got two more projects to be created. The next one, I'm going to use the up arrow and bring up the last command. The same command. I'm going to create one more project model. Okay, there it is. And the last one is services. Okay, so in our applications we have four layers: the batch, that's the entry point, and then we have services, data, and the model. The data is going to always talk to the database, and the services is going to have most of your business logic that is interacting with all the database interactions. We got it created, and the next one is the project reference. What is a project reference? So let's go over to the article. So project reference, right? So for example, if I have a class or multiple classes within my business class library, if I want to use those classes in my batch, that's my console program, then we need to add that project as a project reference in my batch project. So in this way I get the ability to use those classes. So that's why we want to use this project reference. So the .NET the driver keyword has the ability to add in multiple projects into any projects. So you can go through this. You can understand the different parameters that it takes. To start with, right, what we're going to do is, right, I'm going to add okay, I'm going to add model project as a project reference in data model, because a data model, I'm going to interact with the database, and then I would need a model. That's pretty important. So I'm going to show you once we add a project reference, really what happens behind the scene. So I'm going to use the same driver keyword .NET add reference, and then yeah, if you go to your the folder location where the files are stored, that will be a good place. Go here, and then this is the CS project of your model. I'm going to right click and then do a copy as path, then paste it here. Yeah, so that right, I know that's a fully qualified path. It should be able to add it. So I cannot find Visual Studio. Okay, that's that's good. Because I'm at the root folder. I cannot do it. So I have to go into one of the projects, and then one of the class library and do this add reference. Here the intention is to add it in the data folder, so I have to go to DataMover.Data. This is really important. You want to make sure, okay, which project, in which project you want to add that as a project reference. I want to add model project as a reference in data project. So I have to be in the data project. If I have the above command, I want to add model into data. So yeah, I want to show you this one. So open up Notepad Plus or Notepad, whichever you like. Let's go back here, go to data, drag and drop this CS project file. You see, right, this is the entry you got. So I don't see any reference for a model project. I'm going to run this command. Okay, it says successfully added. Go back here. See this project reference, it got added. So meaning, okay, whenever this way, the data project has the ability to access all the classes within the models. Not all the classes. I would say the classes that are exposed as a public, those can be accessed. So first, we're done with this one. So model is done. The next one I would okay. Next one is the business project. So I added model into the data. So the flow is right. The batch project. From the batch, I will invoke the services. Services will have all the business logic. The services in turn, right, if I need to interact with the database, it will access the data layer to do all the interactions. Now let's go back to one level. So cd DataMover dot. We are in the services. Going to services. This is going to be uh, a little overwhelming for you in the initial stage, but right once you understand this concept, this will really help you because this is the industry standard. If you access any project, right, or if you want to create a good application, you should follow this layered approach. Then you will be very successful. In the services, right, I would need access to the data as well as I would need access to the model. So let's go ahead and add model since I have the command here. Okay, same thing I'm going to show. So let's go back here, go back to services, add this one. I don't have anything. Let's file this command. Let's open it up. Yeah, there it is. It added a reference for the model project. The next one, I want a reference to the data project. So let's go back to data, same thing. Right click, copy as path. Okay, so let's go back and verify. Yeah, I see 2 references. That's good. Okay, so and then the next one is right. So we added data is done, services done. The last one is batch. For the batch, right? So I have to add. To start with, I'm going to add service one. So let's go one level back and then cd into data mover dot batch. Okay, same thing. So I have to add services project here. So let's go to services, do a copy as path. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it would have added that statement in the project file. That's good. So we are done with this one. So we got our project setup done. So let's move on. The next step is right. So uh, let's go back to the services. Okay, file manager. See here. So right now, right, I'm displaying all the content on the screen. So what I'm going to do is, right, I'm going to use a list. Okay, so let's go back to the article. So in this article, right, uh, it will specify what is a list. List is nothing but a collection of strongly typed object. If you want to create a collection, that is like an array or something collection, if you want to store, you're going to specify the type. Type is it going to be a numeric value, a string value, or a custom type? You specify it. The list provides an ability to hold any number of values. In this, right, I don't know how many values I'm going to store, but it's a dynamic. It's going to create based on the count. So here, right, the type will be the string because I am getting a string content from the file. So I'm going to specify the type as string. So I'm going to say data. So okay, so I say employee data list. So we spoke last time, right? If you want to create an instantiate an object, so we are going to use this new keyword in the same format, saying the list of type string. So we have this list created. The next one is right. So saying not e1, and then okay, let me add another statement saying if the line contains. I don't want the header line. So in the CSV file, right, I can show you where it is. Okay, the employee data CSV file, right? This is the first header. I don't want the header in my data list, so I want only the data. So I'm going to skip the header line. So I'm going to say line contains the string that I get it from the file contains. So I'm going to pick the first word. Yeah, you can use any string in the first line, but I'm going to stick with the first part of the line. So employee data, and then yeah, this is to ignore the case. Okay, if any of the letters in uppercase or some of the cases lowercase, it doesn't matter as long as right. We're gonna skip the case, and then if we're gonna try to match the whole word. If the whole word matches, then we're gonna do some action. So in this case, right, I want to skip it. So meaning, okay, this is if it contains, do some action. If it doesn't contain, it's a not operator, right? I want to do it. If this the first line, if the line doesn't contain this one, if the line doesn't contain this, then it means a data, actual data. And if it is an actual data, I I want to add it in the list. So it's use yeah, the method is user friendly. So if you do a dot, it will display all the extension method available for the list. In this, I'm going to use the add method. Add. I'm going to use this. It can take any string. Right now, I'm going to take this line variable, whatever the value hold it in the variable line will be added to this list. Okay, so we're able to do it. So let's the next piece is right. I want to check whether the data is being added correctly or not. There are two ways to do it. Okay, let's do it the simpler way. So let's debug it and then get it through. So let's add a breakpoint. Before that, right, I'm going to make sure it's project is able to build without any issues. So I'm going to use Dotnet build. Okay, and there's no error. That's good. So let's do a F5. Okay, I'm in debug console. That's good. I'm going to do a F5. F5. Yeah, there it is. It hit my this breakpoint. I'm going to check what line has. The line has the employee first name. Yeah, I want to skip this line. This statement will not be executed. I'm going to do a F10. You can see it skipped. It goes to the next one. The next time the line has actual data, it should have actual data. But yeah, it has actual data. So if it is actual data, I'm going to add it in the employee data list. You can see, okay, if you hover over the list, you can see, okay, it has those information. So it's going to iterate 3 more times. So that right now it's going to have two lines of data. So 0 is the index value. So whenever you add it to a list, right, the list starts with the index 0, meaning okay, 0 is the first position where it's going to add this data, and then the next one is going to be 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 is the position, then the second value is going to get added. Keep going. So next is going to be 2. 2 is the one that get added. Okay, so we got this one. That's cool. We are able to store the values in the employee data list. Let's go back to the files. Let's quickly look at the model. Okay, what is a model? Model, right? This is our data. So the data has 4 columns here, right? First name, last name, department, and a role. If you want to hold those data right now, right, this employee data or the string variable holds data like this. So it's like a one string separated by comma. So it doesn't make there is no separation. So if you want to easily identify a data, we can create a model. The model represents a class or a data structure, an application data for an application data. For in this case, right, application data is employee data uh, as a public properties and business logic as methods. Meaning, what is public properties? I'm going to show you what is public properties. So to hold this data, we're going to create a class. So I can repurpose this class. I'm going to say employee data to I want to make it as specific as model, so it's easily readable. So I've created a model. So let's double click it. So yeah, I'm going to rename this class name as employee data model. So when I say properties is nothing but variables. So I'm going to say public. If you look at it, what is it? Employee first name. I could use the same name. So I'm going to say employee, but there should not be any spaces. Let's put employee. I'm going to this is a string, so public string. I'm going to make it as a getters and setters. I will explain the getters and setters later. So we're going to have three more. Right? I'm going to copy paste it. So okay, the next piece is employee last name. Okay. Third one is department. I'm going to say department. The last one is a role. Okay, so we got a data model that holds 4 different columns. Okay, so we have this one. So we talked about the reference, right? Why are we adding reference? So from the service layer, right, I have added a reference to the model. So I'm going to show you exactly how it works. So let's go back here. So go back to the services. Okay, in the services, right, I'm going to create a new class, or we can repurpose the same class. Say data ingestion service. Data. Okay, let's do a data ingestion service. Rename it as data ingestion service. I got this namespace. There is we last class, the last video, we briefly went through this keyword, right? Using, if you want to use any classes that are grouped in a namespace, we use the keyword using. In this, right, I want to leverage the classes and classes and the other data structures available in this DataMover.Model namespace. So I'm going to use this one, DataMover dot. It's going to give you the uh, okay, DataMover. Okay, that shouldn't be any. Okay, let's go back to the model over here. Namespace is DataMover.Model. It's good. Okay, let's quickly take a look at that one. So what happened? DataMover dot just there. Mm-hmm. Let's do a save. Let's try it one more time. What's happening? Now let's go back here one more time. So we have the namespace. Okay, maybe I have to do this. Okay, let's do this. I think I know the issue. So whenever you make a change to it, let's do a build to make sure, okay, those changes get carried over. Let's do a .NET build. Okay, we have, okay, that's okay. Those are the warnings. Okay, there is no issues. It says, okay, non-nullable must contain, okay. It says non-nullable. So I'm going to fix it and then I'm going to explain what is nullable and non-nullable later. Just trying to fix the warnings. You don't need to fix the warnings, you can keep going, but right, just want to fix it so that we can get rid of those warnings. Here, build. Okay, no errors. Okay, okay. The string, the previous error was because right, this one, say if I said public string, whatever the employee first name, there are two things I could see. I can make it as nullable value, or I could say, okay, it's not a, it should not be null. So we can do this one or do this one. I would prefer doing this one because we're not going to store any null values. If you say this one, then you should have a good value. If you have a null value, it's going to throw an exception. So I'm saying all these fields should have uh, good value. It should not be null. So null is right, empty. Null represents C sharp is empty. So it should not be empty. It should have a proper value. So that's the meaning of null. So I'm saying all these four values should not be null. Let's do a build again. So it should compile and be applied. Let's do a quick Google. So property not null. So let's do a syntax. Let's quickly find it out. That's how I do it. This is a good one. This is the live version of debugging an issue. It will really help. Okay, I'm going to Google and say in C sharp non-nullable property. Let's see what happens. What is the syntax? So you can add this one. That's what I did. Or I could do, yeah, it should be the other way around. Now not. That's cool. Let me fix everything. So got fixed it. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it clear. Let's build it again. Okay, there it is. So it should be null not. That's good. Yep. Sorry about that. I found the issue. So the issue is, right, so if there's a solution file, right? If you take a look at the solution file, I see just, so what we created was three class library project, and we forgot to add those in a solution file. That was the issue. So let me go ahead and add those in the solution file. Let's go back to the root folder, data mover. It should not be any under batch or data or the model project. Go one step back. We should be in the data mover root folder, and then I'm going to add the project to the solution file. So I'm going to use this uh, yeah .NET SLN. That's the solution I had. I'm going to use the relative path. It's DataMover.Data, and this is the project path. So since we are in the root folder, the relative path should work. Okay, and then let's go back and take a look. Yep, there it is. Okay, same thing, we do it for model. Third one is for services. Okay, okay, let's go open it up. Yep, I see all four projects in the solution file. That's good. Now let's do a .NET build. So there are two things I believe. So if you have multiple projects, uh, yeah, you can do a .NET build from any place, but I would suggest, right, just go to the root folder and then do a .NET build this way, right? It should compile all four projects like this, right? It says, okay, it did create, yeah, DLLs for all four projects. That's good. Let's go back here. So let's try it one more time. So using DataMover dot, yeah, there it is, model. Oh, this is the wrong place. So not in the dot. Well, we should go to the data injection service here. I hope it shows up now. Data mover. Yeah, there it is. We have added a project reference for data and model, so I'm going to use model here. So I'm going to create a public method, public void ingest data, maybe like we call it as ingest data. In the file manager, right? What we are storing the value in the list of string. So I have to pass it to this function. So a function can take input parameters. So in this case, this method is going to take the input this one. So uh, we talked about, right, so loops. So we spoke about a while loop. So we're going to use the for loop here. So while debugging last time, right, I showed you, right, this one, the employee list was using a index. So we can actually leverage that same index to retrieve the value. So I declared it's a for loop. So I declared a integer variable int and the index. And then I'm going to iterate the loop until I have the end of the list collection. So I'm going to get the count. So so what is this going to do is, right, so I initialize the variable, integer variable with the value, and then I'm going to check whether that value is less than the count. Right now, the count of the employee data is 3 because we have three records. And then once it is true, it's going to execute the statement within the braces. And once it is done, it's going to increment the index variable by 1. So from 0, it will change it to 1. I can show you while debugging. Uh, so employee data, this one, right, I'm going to make sure show you how the model can hold the data or string data. So I created this employee data model. This one is done. So once I have the going into index dot, so I think I'm gonna just print it out for this video. For the next video, right, I should be able to go over the other functions and then uh, teach you how to save those data into the data model. For this, for time being, right, I'm going to print it pretty much as is. So I'm going to say data. Okay, so I would say, yeah, let's print the index too, so that you understand. Okay. Let's start index. So what's the index? And then I'm going to say data. Okay. So let's put a breakpoint here. Idea behind this, right? I'm going to make sure, okay, how are we using project references? That's the idea. So from the file manager, I have this one. So I could, same thing, I'm going to use, I'm going to include the namespace for the service layer so that I could access the methods available in the service layer. So I have it. So what's the class here in the service? Okay, data ingestion service. Data ingestion service, data ingestion service. So once I have the namespace added, right, the data, the Visual Studio is able to recognize this class data ingestion service because if first thing it will look for this class within this project, batch project. If it doesn't exist, it will go through the namespace and then if it finds a namespace and then it will go to that project and then identify that class exists. If it exists, then it will not comply. Uh, so I have instantiated an object. So the next one is, yeah, I'm able to get access to the data. I'm going to pass this employee data list here. So we are able to, here, right, the logic is, right, we are iterating the file, grabbing the data, storing it in the data list, string list. The next part is passing that list to a service layer so that we can print the same data there. Let's do a breakpoint here and then here. So I'm going to do the same thing, .NET build. Okay, it works. There are no errors. So I'm going to do a F5. Yeah, I'm able to hit the breakpoints. Let me delete those breakpoints. It should come here and then do a F11. Come here. Let's do an iteration. So see, the index starts with a 0. It's able to grab the data that is available in the index. The next one is, the index would have increased by 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. You can see 1, and the next one, and then it should be 2. The next one will be the end of the right now the index is 2, but the employee count is, yeah, it would have incremented by 3, but the list has count of 3. 3 is not less than 3. If 3 is equal to 3, the condition will fail, the loop will end, and the application will exit. Yeah, I understand it. Today's class is a little overwhelming, but if you able to understand this the layered approach, then it will be really, really helpful. Yeah, pay attention. Try to get this done. I would give you all the instruction in the description, and also I will give you the screenshot uh, for setting up the run and debug along with the code files, so that you can make use of it. If you're not able to do it, you can download the code, and then uh, you can actually run it first to make sure you are able to get a handle of the application flow, and then you can try it yourself, so that you should be able to understand better. The one quick thing is this one, if you're trying to debug, if you're trying to download the code and debug it on your workstation, make sure you change this path to the actual path of the CSV file so that the application works. uh, if you have any questions, if you need help, you can post it on the comment section. When I get a chance, I can actually reply back. That's all for today's class. In the next class, I will teach you about ingesting the data into the database. Uh, have a good one. Thank you all. Bye.